All right. Hello, Ms. Lunge. Thanks for joining us.
Thank
you. Could you please just start off by telling us a bit about yourself?
Okay. I'm a recruiter as well as a coach. I spent a long time in people development. I actually started life as a chartered accountant, and after a few years, I realized that that wasn't really what I wanted to do. So I decided to spend my life helping people become what they want to be and helping people really chart their path. So I'm a recruiter, I'm a coach, I'm a counselor, and what I love doing most is helping people articulate their dream life, business, career, and being productive. So in a nutshell, that's it. I went to the London School of Economics. I qualified as a chartered accountant, some HR certifications, and that's it.
Okay. So we at TNP constantly get applications. There are some seasons in the year that we get maybe minimum 10, 20 applications a day. Could you please just tell our viewers what they need to do to stand out? When an employer is inundated with about 20 applications a day, what goes through his head or her head? How does he select and decide, okay, this person is worth the interview?
Okay, now I'm going to start with some peculiar Nigerian issues. The starting point is not even about standing out. The starting point is about looking decent. So the first thing is, I'm sure you've noticed all these applications that come in, poorly written grammar, terribly formatted CVs. So the first point is, how do you present yourself? How do you appear to a prospective employer? Is your CV a world-class one? Does it have correct punctuation? Does it have correct grammar? So let's get the foundation and the basics right first. Having done that, how do you stand out? In Nigeria, standing out is actually quite easy, because if you apply for a job, not because you just want a job and a salary at the end of the month, but if you apply for a job because you're passionate about what you're doing and you want to grow and learn in that field, it comes across on your resume. I'm sure you've noticed, like when I'm recruiting, I get a resume and that paragraph, that summary, somebody writes at the top, and they come to interview and I say to them, tell me about what you've written here. And they say to me, Madam, please, can I see it? I'm like, what do you mean, can you see? Well, somebody wrote it for me. I mean, how can you be so irresponsible about your own career and your own future? So like I say, standing out is quite easy if you ensure that you get the basics of your CV, the way your CV should look, the way you should communicate. And then if you're applying for a job you actually care about, you're passionate about, you want to succeed at, it's really not difficult. The things you should do that stand out, focus on your achievements. Many people write resumes where they're focusing on the story of what they've done. Tweak it to focus on your achievements, focus on what you've done. People also don't realize that there's some skills employers are looking for that are not necessarily from the job. For example, before you started working, you were hustling as a salesperson and you managed to build a business. Put it in there, because the employer is looking for people that are entrepreneurial, can persevere and can, flourish in different circumstances. So just do that. People should stop being afraid of being individual, A lot of people look at other people's CVs and they copy them. No, think to yourself when you're writing your CV, what makes me different? Different in a nice way, and then put that, in your resume.
Okay. So I know you're very active on social media.
I wouldn't say very.
Okay, active on social media. So I'm sure you've heard about this recent controversy banter about a Nigerian guy who went for an interview, and after the interview, he passed the comment to his interviewer and said, "You smell nice." And there's been a lot of debate about what is the appropriate way to conduct yourself at an interview. So could you just share your views on that? What I mean, if someone is lucky enough to get past the application stage and you are invited for an interview, you don't want to go it by saying wrong thing or doing wrong thing. So what would your advice be?
Okay, and it's funny because I've read, all the threads on that, and because I still haven't gotten to grips with how Twitter works, I could never get to the beginning of this. So I've read all sorts of comments. I just tweet and read threads. So I just heard, how the story started, and it's really interesting because I could talk about this till tomorrow. The starting point is when you're interviewing, you must remember that you do not know the personality of the interviewer. Now, there are fundamentally 4 temperament types, and they behave very differently. So the guy the lady that he interviewed was probably either a choleric or a melancholic. There are people who don't really like people, and they don't really like small talk, and they don't really like compliments. So for me, what I would say is that, always err on the side of caution. If you've done an interview and you've probably blown it, and you say to the interviewer you smell nice, they're probably going to be very irritated. But if you've had a great interview and the person likes you, then by all means. So I think first of all, people are not very emotionally intelligent, and they're not aware enough of their environment and people that, the fact that they're different people and there are people not like them. So for me, for that to have become an issue, she must have given body language signs that she wasn't really into him. And so he shouldn't have said that. Also, we don't know how he said it. There's something a bit sensitive about smell. And this was a male-female situation. She could have perceived it to be just that bit too familiar. It was a bit too, intimate. If he said you look nice, there might not have been an issue. But smell has all sorts of connotations.
Okay, so this brings me to my last question. Is there any particular industry you're aware of in Nigeria that has a manpower shortage? So that I guess our viewers who are undecided at the moment can at least channel their energies in that area.
The answer to that question, in my opinion, is almost every. I keep hearing about mass unemployment, but all my clients, without exception, keep saying to me, can you find us good people? You're in HR, find good people. So I think the first thing is we really, really need to determine and resolve to be good employees, to be value-added employees. And you can find roles in almost any industry. But there's some particular industries that are like they're crying out for talent, especially in tech. Digital marketers, people that have data analysis, proper data analysis skills. Almost every area in tech, actually web developers, people. And you see, my concern in Nigeria is tech people think that they can be really mediocre because there's nobody doing it. I was having an earlier conversation with Coyote about the fact that many people have decided to take their tech needs outside Nigeria because young people in Nigeria will just collect your money and do a really bad job. And I've had that experience a few times. So what's important is to focus on developing yourself to that world-class standard. Outliers says it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert. That's only 3.5 years. So if young people would only decide to focus and apply themselves and build real skills, world-class skills, they can find work, in almost anywhere.
So the example you just gave now, do you ascribe that to a lack of skill or lack of professionalism? Because what I find sometimes is that people actually have the skills, but the professionalism required to deliver in a way that makes the client happy and recognizes that the client is keen, it's just absent.
I think you're right, but I think it's both. I think it's a lot of people that don't have the skills and say they have the skills because they don't even know the minimum requirements. Yeah, so you have somebody that comes and says, I can build you this app. I've been trying to build an app for a while, and you're like, okay, this is the brief, and they take it and go away. And then they get stuck, they've collected your money, they're too greedy to come back and say, I don't have the skill, I'm stuck, I'm sorry, here's your money back. So that's the skill bit. The unprofessionalism makes it even worse because they're then too unprofessional to come back and say, look, if I have to take a year to pay you back, I'll pay you back. And they're just like, oh well, I couldn't do it, but man must jump. And they're gone. So it really is both. But I think the lack of skill is more painful, especially with tech, than the lack of professionalism. Because we all deal with unprofessional carpenters and painters, but we know what they're doing, we can see it. But with tech, you don't have the skill yourself, so you don't realize this person is getting you into a lot of trouble. I think that's big damage is done. Yeah, so I had somebody work on my website the other day, and I just decided to get a foreign web developer audit it. And he sent me a message saying, your website is broken. I don't know who gave you this, but it's totally broken behind. And I went back to them and said, and they were like, oh yes, we didn't do this or that, and we've done it now. Like,
Well, on that note, I want to thank you very much for taking time to share your experience and your thoughts with us. It's been a pleasure.
thank you. Nice talking to you. Thank you.